So we are gonna go ahead with the Enchiridion. We're gonna go ahead with certain chapters. I'm actually not quite sure, I always forget about that, so I'm not gonna say it. But we are gonna go ahead and we're probably gonna finish it up today as well, to a pretty high degree or chance we're gonna do so today. Because yeah, I do want to finish it. And I just remember that there's something else that I need to finish. Another book, quite. And, well, maybe I'm going to read something today. I don't know, today is a strange day. Today I don't really feel like good, kind of. Tomorrow I have to work, which is something that's pissing me off. But I don't know, like, I could do better. I really could. We're gonna go ahead with the 48th, I guess. I'm actually not quite sure, but I think it is. The condition and characteristic of a vulgar person is that he never looks for either help or harm from himself, but only from externals. The condition and characteristics of a philosopher is that he looks to himself for all help or harm. His marks of a proficient are that he censures no one, praises no one, blames no one, accuses no one, says nothing concerning himself as being anybody or knowing anything. When he is in any instance hindered or restrained, he accuses himself. And if he is praised, he smiles to himself at the person who praises him, and if he is censured, he makes no defense. But he goes about with the caution of a convalescent, careful of interference with anything that is doing well but not yet quite secure. He restrains desire, he transfers his aversion to those things only which thwart the proper use of our own will. He employs his energies moderately in all directions. If he appears stupid or ignorant, he does not care, and in a word, he keeps watch over himself as over an enemy and one in ambush. It reminds me of something else. It kind of reminds me of, there's a saying, I don't remember it, but it basically is like, okay, always looking for some other things, instead of looking or keeping an eye on the things that are important, the things that actually matter. And in the end, I'd say that indeed I and we all are watching other people quite closely, but not really often ourselves. And blaming somebody else is very easy, something that I've been talking about for quite some time. Blaming somebody else is indeed very easy, tremendously easy. One of the easiest things there is, but being like, well, it's been my mistake. It is something that I did. This is difficult. Because it is about you, because it is hurting you, and standing up for the bullshit that you did, this is also difficult, because you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get the consequences. Obviously, it is way easier to blame somebody else and to be like, well, it's been his fault, or her fault, or whatever. But it is not right. Definitely not right. The 49th one. When anyone shows himself vain on being able to understand and interpret the works of Chrysippus, say to yourself, unless Chrysippus had written obscurely, this person would have had nothing to be vain of. But what do I desire? To understand nature and follow her. I ask then who interprets her, and hearing that Chrysippus does, I have recourse to him. I do not understand his writings. I seek therefore one to interpret them. So far there is nothing to value myself upon, and when I find an interpreter what remains is to make use of his instructions. This alone is the valuable thing, but if I admire merely the interpretation, what do I become more than a grammarian instead of a philosopher, except indeed that instead of Homer I interpret Chrysippus? When anyone therefore desires me to read Chrysippus to him, I rather blush when I cannot exhibit actions that are harmonious and consonant with his discourse. I gotta look that up afterwards. I really don't understand if it is literal like about Chrysippus and about his writing and about Epictetus being unable to kind of read it and or read it for somebody else, or which is the thing that I think is the case, it is some sort of a metaphor for something else. The 50th one. Whatever rules you have adopted, abide by them as laws, and as if you would be impious to transgress them, and do not regard what anyone says of you, for this, after all, is no concern of yours. How long, then, will you delay to demand of yourself the noblest improvements, and in no instance to transgress the judgments of reason? You have received the philosophic principles with which you ought to be conversant, and you have been conversant with them. For what other master then do you wait as an excuse for this delay in self-reformation? You are no longer a boy, but a grown man. If therefore you will be negligent and slothful, and always add procrastination to procrastination, purpose to purpose, and fix day after day in which you will attend to yourself, you will insensibly continue to accomplish nothing, and living and dying remain of vulgar mind. This instead, then, think yourself worthy of living as a man grown up and a proficient. Let whatever appears to be the best be to you an inviolable law, and if any instant of pain or pleasure, glory or disgrace be set before you, remember that now is the combat, now the Olympiad comes on, nor can it be put off that by one failure and defeat honor may be lost or won. Thus Socrates became perfect, improving himself by everything, following reason alone, and thought you're not yet a Socrates. You ought, however, to live as one seeking to be a Socrates. It's all about action. It's all about doing something. It's not about thinking. It's not about guessing or asking. It is about doing. And what I really like is this. Nor can it be put off, and that by one failure and defeat honor may be lost or won. Yes, it's not a one-time thing. Weight loss is not a one-day thing or one meal thing. Quite everything in life is all about consistency and doing it every day and staying consistent. Might not be every day, might not be every week, might be every quarter, even though I am a pretty big advocate of trying to basically do it as often as you can when it comes to working out and body parts, when it comes to repeating things, when it comes to quite everything. At my point of view, really putting in the work and kind of making sure that you're going to be fine is something that I like. I don't like, or I dislike, I really do just thinking that it is going to be fine, but not being sure that it is going to be fine, Something that I really dislike because of whatever reason, I'm not quite sure. The last page, which is the 51st. The first and most necessary topic in philosophy is the practical application of principles, as we ought not to lie. The second is that of demonstrations, as why it is that we ought not to lie. The third, that which gives strength and logical connection to the other two, as why this is a demonstration. For what is demonstration? What is a consequence? What a contradiction? What truth? What falsehood? The third point is necessary on account of the second, and the second on account of the third. But the most necessary, and that whereon we ought to rest, is the first. But we do just the contrary, for we spend all our time on the third point and employ all our diligence about that and entirely neglect the first. Therefore, at the same time that we lie, we are very ready to show how it is demonstrated that lying is wrong. Upon all occasions we ought to have these maxims ready at hand. Conduct me, Zeus, and thou, O destiny, wherever your decrees have fixed my lot, I follow cheerfully, and did I not. Wicked and wretched I must follow still. Whoever yields probably to fate is deemed wise among men and knows the laws of heaven. And this third, O Crito, if it thus pleases the gods, thus let it be. Anytus and Militus may kill me indeed, but hurt me they cannot. Which is all about amor fati, and something that I really like. love faith or love your faith. No matter what is gonna happen, no matter what is gonna come up, no matter what is gonna be the case, well, it is what it is. You know, it just is what it is, no matter what. Well, yeah. With that being said, I'm gonna end the episode there. I wish you the best.